Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Objective Review Sports Show. And I'm Joe Mauricio. This afternoon, we have one very, very special guest. And his name is no other than Asim Khan, the author of the book Dispatches from Saint-Tropez. Is that correct? Did I pronounce Saint-Tropez?
Perfectly.
All right, welcome to our show.
Thank you very
Asim.
much. Lovely to be
All
here.
right, where is Asim from?
Actually, right here. I grew up in the Chicago area in Naperville, and I went to high school at Naperville Central High School, and I did my undergrad in the city at Loyola University. I went away for a couple of years to do my graduate work at Vanderbilt, but my family's still here.
Oh yeah,
so,
they're still in Naperville.
Still in Naperville, right?
Yeah, but you came to, well, your parents came to America when?
Oh, long time ago. I think my father came in about 63 or 64.
Yeah, and you were born here?
Actually born in Canada, but we...
You're a Canadian? You're a Canadian?
Also. Lucky to have two citizenships. Then we emigrated to the States when I was perhaps 4 or 5, and that was on the East Coast. But you know, we've been in this area since I was in high school.
But I love your accent. You don't have a Naperville accent. You have a...
Whatever that sounds like, right? I guess with all the moving around over the years, it's kind of gotten...
Well, so moving around all over this year. Well, tell us more about your travel from New York to London.
Sure, bit of a gypsy existence. So after my graduate work, I was back in Chicago. I was working in banking for the then ABN AMRO. And I think it's called...
Oh, yeah.
It's part of Royal Bank of Scotland now, right? And then I went to New York, and I was working for a French bank called Paribas, New York. It's one of the largest French banks. It's now called BNP Paribas. I was there for about 5 years, and I continued to work in New York in various positions at other firms. And I was working for as a portfolio manager of derivatives. I know it's a bad word these days, but back then it was just another financial product before we all conspired to blow up the world, and that's how I ended up in Saint-Tropez, but we'll get there shortly. I moved to London to run the firm's office there, and I ran that for a little over a year, and then left that with some colleagues to start a hedge fund.
Boy.
In London.
Yeah, from Chicago to New York.
Yes.
To London.
To London, right.
To Saint-Tropez.
Eventually Saint-Tropez. So when the financial crisis started in 2008, there wasn't much left for me to do. You know, our business was basically dead. So on a whim, not so much as a whim, but I needed something to do, somewhere to go. And I had a gut feeling that Saint-Tropez would be the place for me. And that was based on a lunch that I had there 2 years prior, and a meeting with a yogi in India who told me just, you know, you really know what you want to do, so just follow your heart. Oh,
I'd like to hear more about this this thing. You know, your inner self.
Yes.
You're listening to. You're listening to. Explain that.
Right. And this is one of the. I say in the preface to the book, the introduction, that there's several major threads running through the book, and one of them is this. And this by no means is supposed to be a strictly philosophical book, so I don't want to put anybody off with a bunch of pedagogy, but I give it to you through some very amusing stories, so you'll get the point. The medicine goes down really nicely. So the thing is, the basic premise is that inside we all know what we want to do in life and what would make us happy, what would fulfill us, but we don't do that because we're not very good at being attuned to our inner voice. But somehow via your subconscious mind or some other process, you really already know, you know. And I'm trying to encourage people to have the courage to basically follow their inner voice. And I know it's difficult because you can look at my life and say, well, you know, you were single, you were living in London, you had a lot of money, you were a hedge fund manager, you had flexibility, you could just throw everything up into the air and move to Saint-Tropez. Great, but I can't do that. I have a wife and 3 kids, and I have tuitions to pay and mortgage and all that kind of stuff. And I appreciate that. It's absolutely correct. And I'd like to give you the story of a friend of mine in New York. He's a partner in one of the very big law firms there, and he was an undergrad music major. Music major. He went to Ivy League school, studied music, and his parents said, "You will never make any money at music. You have to be a lawyer." So he went to Harvard Law School, and here we are. All these years later, I had this discussion with him about 2 years ago. And he said, I can't do what you did. I can't make such a radical change because I've got 3 kids in Ivy League schools and it's very expensive. And I said, look, do yourself a favor and take a symbolic half step in the direction that you want. He wanted to be a jazz pianist. And he said, what do you mean by a symbolic half step? I said, well, as a lawyer, you work late every night. He said, yeah. I said, on your way home 1 night a week, stop into your favorite jazz club and have a drink. He said, that's it? I said, yeah, just go, have a drink, and leave when your drink is finished. Well, 2 years later, he's now playing in a jazz band. And he practices 10 hours a week with his band. He just came back to his family at some point and he said, I need 10 hours a week to myself. I'm going to take it away from you and reallocate it to me. And now he's very happy. He gets to keep his law career. He gets to play in the jazz band. Both things are fulfilled.
There's a collision between what your inner self is telling you,
yeah,
and our culture.
Yes.
Coming from an Asian culture,
mm-hmm.
The parents, the tiger mom,
yeah,
or the lion dad,
yes,
are dictating to us what you want to be when you grow up.
Yeah.
It's not what the inner voice is telling you. How do you overcome that?
It's hard to override it when you're young, for sure. But there's a point in life, perhaps it comes in the late teens or early 20s, where someone realizes that they've been programmed a certain way. And when you have that realization, it's up to you to kind of override the programming if you so want.
Okay,
right.
Good.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the book.
Yes, okay.
All right.
Right.
What is your plan in Saint-Tropez?
My plan? Well, when I got there, interestingly enough, I had no plan. It was just my yogi said, look, just take each day as it comes and just kind of see what happens. So, in much the same way I embraced the town embraced me back. And soon after arriving there, I was being befriended by some famous people, rich people, notorious people, invited to their parties, and get to experience life really kind of from the other side. I'd never really seen it before, right? I'd never been on a yacht partying with a Russian oligarch.
Wow.
Right? Before this, I was just a geeky finance guy.
Yeah.
I'd never been with Puff Daddy in a nightclub.
Yeah.
It's a whole different world that opened up to me. And so what I do is I relate these stories, some of the more relevant ones, to the readers, and just so they get a sense of how I traveled through these last 3.5 years or so in Saint-Tropez. And some of the earlier lessons we talked about get reinforced through the stories. So it's not all, like I said, philosophy. It's a lot of amusing stories, interesting stories. It'll open up a whole new world.
Yeah.
That I was blown away because in finance we were making a lot of money, we were living the high life, but it was nothing like this.
That was
yeah.
years ago.
Yeah. That was years ago, but it was nothing like this. There's a fantasy life out there that people are living.
Yeah.
And one of the things I want to do is give people a glimpse into it. I really take you into it. And I don't hold anything back.
Yeah. Okay. So tell us more about the dispatches from Saint-Tropez.
Yeah.
Tell us more about.
Well, the whole reason I wrote the book was basically to give people an alternate way of kind of reassessing their life. Because a lot of people that would read this book are probably in their early 30s to probably late 40s, something like that. And they're at that point in life where they're thinking, you know what, I'm no longer living my childhood dream. This is somewhere along the way, everything just kind of went wrong, and I need to kind of reassess things. I'm giving you a way to do it in this book, encompassed in some humorous, factual, humorous stories, and I truly hope you'll enjoy it.
So what's next?
Well, the next is, you'll see from my website, www.saint-tropez.com. Next project, it's under the beta name Project Rishikesh. What that involves is I will take off on a motorcycle from the famous Club 55 in Saint-Tropez, which is chronicled here. It's a very legendary beach club.
Saint-Tropez, New Mexico?
Saint-Tropez.
Oh, Saint-Tropez. You'll be traveling. I'm sorry.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
That's okay.
On
I
your
suppose the editing's
motorcycle?
going to get that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm going to take a motorcycle ride to Rishikesh in northern India. It's just northeast of New Delhi, if you remember.
Oh, yeah.
Right? That's the home of yoga, and one of the things that really kind of changed my life while I was in France. And I'm going to just spend a good, perhaps 6 months, maybe more, with one of the masters there, and study my yoga some more. And I'll write to you about that as well. There'll be a book detailing my adventures getting there, because now, as you know, now we have to travel through some war zones to get there. The other way is the sea.
What war zone?
Well, I mean, you've got to go through Iraq and Iran and Syria and all these other places.
Motorcycles.
Oh yeah, it's going to be really interesting. The other way is, if I judge that's too dangerous, then I have to cut south to the Red Sea coast and get on a junket, and you face pirates in the Red Sea.
Oh
right?
my God!
So
yeah.
it's dangerous either way. So here's what I've come up with. I'm going to let the fans and readers vote. Okay. So
that's good. That's good.
Yes. So
you gotta participate on this.
On my website, you will have an opportunity to vote which route I take. Okay. And I will tell you round about the time I get there, how things are looking, and you know, you get to vote on which route I take. And if you would, everybody just contribute $1 or $2 for my legal defense fund, because I'm sure to get apprehended along the way, and I'll need a lawyer.
Yeah. Your lawyer from New York.
Yeah. But he's not cheap.
No, he's not cheap. But anyway, watch for that next episode of Asim's book. But be sure to vote. But before we want to help this guy. Buy this book, so you don't have to pay too much for his legal defense. Buy this book so he will have some money. But again, where can they purchase this book?
Yes, Amazon.com.
All right.
It's all right there on ebook and paperback. And also, sorry, if you have the Kindle app on your iPad, you can get it that way.
The Kindle. All right, okay. Good. So again, hey, Asim, good luck to you.
Hey, thank you very much.
And if you guys are listening to your inner self, the inner voice is telling you to purchase this book, Dispatches from Saint-Tropez.
Right on, Joe.
Get it? So again, this is Joe Mauricio, and I hope to see you again next week. And again, thank you to our guests for sharing our Sunday with us today.
My pleasure.
Again, Asim, good luck to your next book. And purchase this book. Listen to your inner voice, because the inner voice is telling you how to, instead of listening to your mom and dad, listen to your inner voice.
Right.
Listen.
Correct. More important.
More important.
They'll get over it, trust me.
Again, this is Joe, and saying, mabuhay.